Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Anna. I'm an aspiring author. I am a mother of 4. I work full-time and I'm a student. This is just where I document all of my writing escapades in between it all. Yes, it has been a while since I posted it. Like I said, I am a very flip-floppy person and I never decided not to post again. It just like I said, I'm a mom of 4. I'm a student. I also work full-time. And it just happened that I haven't been able to post in a while. I have filmed some stuff though, and so I'm going to jump back. It's been a couple months since I did this. I'll try to put the date stamps just so that we can like track it, but it has been at least 2 months, I think. Whoa, okay. Okay, good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, June 7th. It has been a while, but I figured it was about time for an update. If you're new here, my name is Anna. I'm a writer. I'm a very flip-floppy writer, and I enjoy exploring a bunch of different facets of humanity via writing. When I explain all of the things that have happened in the last couple of months that I haven't posted, remember that I am flip-floppy. You'll do just fine here. The first really big update isn't really like an update, it's just like I did this really cool fun thing. This is actually the most recent. We might backtrack. I went on a writer retreat down to Valdez, Alaska with a couple of my really good friends. You might call them the best of friends. And we did a lot of really fun things. We tried to submit to a contest that was like, I think when we decided it was like 18 hours away, and then that next day we blasted through a short story and neither of us made it. I was like seconds away from pressing submit when it closed down. So I couldn't actually submit. I think that the story needed reworking, so I probably wouldn't have made it, and I also did not include the word that they require. So I would not have, it would have just been an auto reject, which is unfortunate. But also I'm glad that I was able to like take it back and revise and everything and make it better. That was really fun. We also did something that we called a vibes tour. We went around to different parts of Valdez, and if you know anything about Valdez, it is like the most picturesque city ever. Little fishing town on the coast of, it's like on an inlet on the coast of Alaska. And it's the perfect place for a fantasy novel. Actually, now that I think about it, there is one story that I write that that town actually fits the exact description. And I might, so the Midlands, the story that I've been working on for like 10 years now, set in a place that's very similar to that. So that is a really fun connection. But we went around the town and my friend Mary showed a bunch of really fun little places that were just like seconds out of town. You leave town limits and it's like you're still in town limits, and she'd take us to this river that was like you're completely cut off from anything modern, and it's like stepping through a gateway where it's just nature completely. And you drive for like half a second back into town and you're back in town. So it was delightful. It was a lot of fun. We got to go see the glaciers and we got to see the little icebergs that are in this glacier lake. We did not get the opportunity to go to the glacier, which was a little bit sad, but I think all in all, it not only reinvigorated my love of storytelling, but like my love of life and just loving to be the person that I am rather than like the person that I think that everybody else needs to see of me, or that I want them to see of me. Like I want them to see me for who I am, but there's always this way that I expect them to imagine me and it does not align. And the whole thing just made me realize like who I want to present myself as in the world in general and how I want to be, and I'm really excited to explore that more. In terms of writing, it was just an absolutely delightful trip. Those plans are still there. They're the same. They've changed slightly, but like, you know, forward moving plans are still generally the same. Okay, I'm at work. I'm gonna go do that, and I will chit chat throughout the rest of the day as I figure out the things that I actually should update you on. So, actually the first clip in this video was like a week and a half ago, and we're just gonna roll with it. So that was the beginning. Today's the 21st. Tomorrow's my daughter's birthday. I'm super excited about that. The writing is going great, actually. I think I've actually settled into a pretty good routine, and it's not necessarily a routine so much as just kind of squeezing a couple of words in as I go. So I did this thing for a long time where I would bulk write. So like I'd skip several days of writing, several weeks of writing, and then I would write several thousand in one day. And that's a good process, but I also, that's a fine process, but I did not like that it was so inconsistent. I've actually hated it. I went on a little writing retreat a couple of weeks ago with my friends, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. I didn't take any footage or anything. It was just us going and hanging out for the most part, and the writing retreat portion of it came secondary to us hanging out and catching up, because we've had this writing group for 10 years. This was our first one, and we're just really good friends, and that's what it was all about, was hanging out with them. So that's what we did. We did get writing in, but that's not the point. I guess technically it was the point, but it was the disguise that we were masking everything in. But since that writing retreat, I have, instead of doing that thing where I bulk write every couple of weeks, I have been getting consistently 200 to 500 words every day since then. I know that probably doesn't sound like a whole lot, and in reality it's not, but doing the 200 to 500 words every day rather than bulk writing 3,000 every couple of weeks has resulted in more consistency. I have been able to actually build sort of a routine, and it's not necessarily, it's kind of built in around my work, my schoolwork and everything. Just kind of get in a couple of words here and there throughout the day, rather than sitting down and doing like a 15 to 20 minute. I would like to change that a little bit as I move forward. I'm kind of hoping to be able to sit down for 15 minutes and just focus and get that 500 words in, and maybe do that a couple of times throughout the day. But right now I'm really just enjoying the fact that I'm almost 10,000 words into this draft, and it has taken very little effort. And I've kind of tricked myself into doing it a little bit, because like there's this mentality that I've always had that if something is hard, I can't do it. Something that has held me back in a lot of ways, but in the last couple of weeks, my brain's been like, no, that's super easy. You can totally do that. Oh, that's 100 words. That's really easy. You can totally do that. Get to this point in the story. You know exactly where you're going. That's totally easy. You can absolutely do that. And so I've kind of like been reframing the way that I think about it in my head, and that's really been helping quite a bit. Right now, it is the end of my workday. Everybody's out of the house. They will probably come back pretty soon, but I have the next 45 or so minutes to myself before I actually leave work, before my husband comes and picks me up. So I'm gonna sit down, and I'm already at about 300 words right now, and I'm hoping that in the next 45 minutes I can get several hundred more. I'm not gonna give a word count, but I've told my husband this doesn't count. I've told my husband that I'm not allowed to touch my phone until he comes and picks me up, and he's supposed to ask me how many words that I get. So that's the plan. I'm gonna put this away. I'm officially down to about 40 minutes now, because I decided to do this impromptu update, and I should stop talking. Yeah, I'll do more later. Okay guys, I have something to tell you, and I feel like vomiting. I feel so gross. I feel really excited. I just put my book up on Amazon for pre-order. It hasn't gone live yet. It has to go through the whole process of everything. But it's there. I did it kind of on a whim. I've said this before. I am trying to trick myself into doing all of these things because I don't want it to be like a huge thing, you know? I don't want to send myself into an anxiety spiral I want this to be something that I do for forever. And so doing it big and using all of these huge emotions is not always the best thing for me. But at the same time, I can't help it. It's gonna be the first book I've ever published. I am also doing it on Kobo and Google Play and Apple. And I'm doing it all myself. I'm not doing the draft to digital or anything like that. And eventually I'd like to be selling it on my own shop. So I'd like to sell everything direct. I'd like to do paperbacks, and special editions and all that jazz. But I have to realistically look at my time and everything that I'm doing right now, and just do it the simplest way possible. So I have ISBNs. I have put them all, I've attached them to the books, well, the single book, the ebook, and all of that. So like it's all set up. I just have to submit the final file, and I had to settle on a title for the book for that, and I just barely did that. But I am super excited. I feel like I'm gonna hurl. You know, at a certain point, you can't really stop yourself from feeling all of the feelings, and that's the point that I'm at. And I'm gonna go celebrate. I'm celebrating the wins and all of the things, regardless of how small. Don't know with what yet. I'll probably stop by the store and just grab like something, a small treat to treat myself with, and hopefully like calm down my heart and everything. But right now it is getting really hot in my car because it's only 70 degrees, but it is too hot for me. So I'm gonna turn on the AC and all that, and yeah, I'll tell you the name in a few minutes. Okay, this is gonna be a really funky angle. I have retrieved said celebratory excitement, along with a couple of things for my husband, because I can't go into the store without getting anything for like him, and the D&D game this afternoon. So pop that on, keep that turned down. I got a Coke. I don't drink a whole lot of soda, but I did get this specifically for it a couple of trips ago, because I was like, you know what, it's just really nice to enjoy a really cold glass bottle Coke every once in a while after work. So I'll stop by the store and I'll grab something, and it's pretty delightful, especially now that it's getting hotter. So that's gonna be great on the way home. And chocolate. It feels melty already, but I've only been outside for like 2 seconds. All right, drink has been acquired. I feel satisfied. I'm very excited. My eyes are all watery now because of the carbonation, but yay! As of today, I am still very heavily working on Project DW. It is like in between everything. And I think I've resigned myself to just taking a while with this story, which kind of sucks because I would love to just be able to crank it out and work on other stories and stuff. But there's just that kind of story that when you get to it, you know it's going to be great if you can do it right. And I'm really trying to do it right. I don't just want it to be something that I threw down on a piece of paper. I am writing consistently, even though it's very sporadic. And I know that that doesn't make sense, but like between everything, if I can get to it, I get to it. And that usually means that I get about 200 words a day. I'm at about almost 60,000 words in the entire manuscript. It's pretty decent at this point. I started when I started back up in this a couple of months ago, I started off with about 50,000. And when I put it in terms like that, it definitely feels like I haven't made much progress, but at the same time, it's not just writing the scenes, it's moving everything around. It's a very non-linear story, and it's I want it to be kind of cyclical and seem that way. And so there's a lot of finagling that I have to do in order to write the scenes that I need to write them in. And so a lot of my time is actually spent thinking, not even just like, you know, up and about while I'm working or while I'm hanging out with the kids. It's sitting down at the computer, rearranging things and thinking very, very hard about where I want things to be. So thinking about it in those terms, how I have only gotten about 10,000 words in the last several months. I have written on other things, so I've, like, it's been, definitely got more words than that, maybe 20,000, but like when I think about it like that, it doesn't feel like a whole lot. However, when I think about it in terms of, I have worked consistently on this story every single day, sat down at the document and pondered on it, it feels a lot better, because for a very long time, especially postpartum and working through a lot of things with that, it felt like the writing was just not gonna happen ever. And there were a lot of mental health issues that went into this, and it also, you know, coincides with how I just can't write when I'm pregnant. It's just, I've tried, I've had 4 babies at this point, and with my last one I was like, all right, this just, I'm gonna try still, but my mental capacity just, it goes down so far because I'm growing this thing, and it just doesn't happen when I'm pregnant. You know, for a very long time it just felt like it wasn't going to happen. But today, where I'm at, I actually have a potential release date that I want to follow for it. It is going to take me being more consistent and actually sitting down for longer stretches of time, and I think I'm ready to carve out that time at this point, and that's a very good feeling. So I am technically supposed to be on my way to work right now, so that's what I'm going to do. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning on August 6th, I think is the date today, and we are headed to work, where I will work on schoolwork first, because that's important. My job is pretty low-key, but that one single schoolwork assignment is the only one that I have to do today because I've gotten everything else done. I currently have 4 more days left of work, and so if I can get that done, and obviously the subsequent discussion posts, I will have the rest of the week to work on the story. That doesn't mean that I'm going to get thousands and thousands of words done. It'd be great. Some weeks I do break the 1,000-word mark. Some days I do, and that's always a really nice feeling. But at the moment, I'm still not putting that huge amount of pressure on myself. However, here we go. Okay, on second thought, I have decided over the course of that drive that I have enough footage to be able to do this as the, you know, one single video, so I'll start a new one after this. I think I'm going to try to do weekly vlogs just to check in here and there and do that. We'll see how it goes. However, I think this was a pretty good recap of what's been going on, and you're pretty much all caught up on the system. I do have a couple of announcements in the next video that I will do, just because I feel like I'm not prepared to properly build them up in this one right now, because this was a spur of the moment thing. So I'm going to jump out. I'm going to go to work. I feel self-conscious because they're probably like looking at me through the window. Probably not, but like that's how I feel, you know? So I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep writing forward.